Well, with us now is David Mundy, who's from the law firm Bircham Dyson Bell. David is parliamentary agent who advises on parliamentary procedure. We're delighted you're here, David. Thank you. And you have got this bill here in front of you, all, 63 pages of it.
That's right. It's arrived at long last, so we're all looking through it with a great deal of interest here.
Tell us a bit more about exactly what's in it.
Well, I suppose the key feature at the moment is that one of the opening provisions says that from exit day, the European Communities Act 1972 will be repealed. So the core piece of legislation upon which our relationship legally with the European Union is spelt out here very clearly: repeal on exit day. It's not absolutely clear from the legislation what exit day is going to be. It's not necessarily the 2 years following on from the back end of March this year. There's actually provisions to say that a minister, by regulations, will appoint what the day is. So that gives a degree of flexibility. But what's interesting about the bill is it's grappling with that very difficult sort of tightrope walk, it seems to me, that the government is having to walk between, on the one hand, moving forward promptly and effectively with legislation required to put in place the new arrangements post-exit. Yes. But at the same time, it's trying to grapple with the huge democratic issues of doing that with proper parliamentary scrutiny. And the previous politicians speaking just now, of course, highlighted that fact.
Just explain to me, if it's passed in, say, 2 years' time, does it mean that every single European law automatically changes and becomes part of British law? That's what it would mean.
It means that, in essence, the relevant law that we decide we need to put it in effect on ice and keep in the freezer is maintained. But it takes also very important powers for ministers to modify that legislation by means of statutory instrument, a delegated form of legislation, to modify the frozen, if you like, the captured EU legislation and make it relevant and effective in terms of the new world that will take place legally after exit day.
So it's giving considerable power to government in the future?
It is. I mean, obviously this is one of the issues of real contention, the degree to which, by delegated legislation, that is, i.e. not by Act of Parliament actually going through the Houses of Parliament, the government itself, by ministerial order effectively, can make radical changes to the legislative framework that's already in place. And the bill says in terms that the power of these regulations may modify acts of Parliament. So that's absolutely clear on the face of the bill itself. And therefore you have the situation where, under the bill, procedures that take place by means of, in effect, delegated legislation, where legislation can be looked at very promptly by, and in effect, not properly scrutinised by Parliament, can be moved through, but has the same import and the same importance that ordinarily a bill would have.
Yes. If the bill is defeated, given what Labour has been saying today and the Liberal Democrats, what happens in 2 years' time? I mean, what laws do we have?
Well, it's a very interesting question. The degree to which the bill will actually be defeated, I think, is unlikely. That is my view at the moment. There will be serious compromise, I'm sure, as a result of the vulnerability of this government in terms of actually getting through the bill in the form that it has published it, and obviously the form that it wants. But I think the Parliament recognises the democratic relevance of a referendum that says we will leave the Union. And so I don't see that Parliament will in any way, certainly not the House of Commons or House of Lords in any way, will seek to permanently disrail this act. It will simply try to defer it and mould it in a way that makes it more effective for them. For example, to make the exit as soft as possible, as far as many opposition members are concerned.
We must leave it there. Really good to talk to you, David Mundy. Thank you
very much.
Thanks.